Welcome to Fight Night with Andrew Howard and Randall Cunningham. I'm telling you, folks, if you were living our life, you'd know both of us arrived about 2 minutes before going on the air. So I'm a little sweaty. Just walked in from a shopping trip with a 10-year-old. Y'all are going to have to be patient with a man. Want to welcome everybody. Things are advancing for us tonight. We're almost in a semi-studio. We've got record lights that look so much better. We're on a phone still. Next week will be, or next month, which we believe will be on the 16th, where we're going to record early. So on the 16th, look for UFC 261.
Yes.
And we'll be posting that early on iLogic Media, RiverCity Media. Here's the big news for all the folks that don't watch anything or listen to anything but this podcast. iTunes, under iLogic Network, iLogic Media Network, and Spotify under iLogic Media Network. Of course, they're our broadcast partners. Here with my fight expert, Andrew Howard. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Not
the best pay-per-view coming up, but a real good front-end fight.
Yeah. Really main event heavy tomorrow night. Stipe and Ngannou, but that's worth your money right there just to watch that. This is a rematch. If you haven't seen the first one, Stipe dominated that one in a 5-round decision. But Ngannou's really improved. He's on a 4-fight absolute tear, which we'll get into in just a second. Stipe's got the most wins at heavyweight as far as defending the title, the most title defenses. So right now he's the heavyweight GOAT in my eye. So this is a big fight. And then we've got the Sugar Show with Sean O'Malley. He's going to be fighting, see if he can bounce back. And then you got Tyron Woodley in the co-main event. So I think it's still a pretty solid card, though.
So, Andrew, before we get in, and while we're getting everything shared over here, the good thing about it, we've got enough people that care now. We got places to share it to. Before we get into the whole card, let's go back and reset with some news. Now, we talked a lot yesterday and today, and literally our show notes were like an encyclopedia. So, folks, we're going to cram a lot in to a little bit here, so stay with us. Let's go back and reset UFC 259 to start with. 3 title fights that night. Overall impressions of the card that night. And, of course, the controversy of the Sterling Yan fight.
But, so we had 3 title fights. One went kind of surprising, which the main event was an upset, a little bit of an upset. The co-main event went, pretty much exactly like we thought it was going to go with Amanda Nunes and Nia Anderson. And then the controversial one is, of course, the future Yan and Aljamain Sterling. Just to recap those real quick, the Aljamain Sterling and future Yan was dominating that fight, looking like he was going to cruise to pretty dominant decision, and then he kneed Aljamain Sterling while on the ground. You cannot knee a downed opponent. That is a rule, whether you like it or not. I mean, he lost the title. He lost the title via disqualification. That's quite a rarity, but that's the rules, and that's how you play the game. So, a lot of people are knocking Aljo for winning the title in that fashion, but he really couldn't help it. But the good news is, that just sets up an immediate rematch. So these guys will face off again. So right now, Aljo's your champ, but they'll be back, and we'll see how that goes. Amanda Nunes and Megan Anderson, that was no surprise whatsoever. That went exactly how we thought it would. No disrespect to Megan. She was a champion in Invicta. She's done some good things, but you could tell she just didn't want to be in there with Amanda. Once Amanda started, swinging. And I love how it played out. It wasn't another knockout. It showed her versatility as a fighter, because she is a very accomplished black belt in jiu-jitsu. She gets her on the ground, takes her back. For a second, I thought she was going for the rear naked, but she swung around, got a triangle choke from the back and an arm bar. She had both locked in. It was amazing. Got the tap, won that thing in the first round. Nunes's dominance just continues. She's awesome to watch. I don't get tired of watching her dominate. And then, of course, your main event, Israel Adesanya, moving up the light heavyweight against Juan Blvd. A little bit of an upset. Israel was the favorite in that fight, but you could see that size definitely played into it, and it mattered. And Juan doesn't get the respect he deserves. He's very accomplished on the ground. He made the fight his fight. He kind of dirtied it up a little bit. What I mean by dirty is not cheating, of course. You know, he utilized the clinch groundwork, shot some great double leg takedowns toward the end, got Izzy on the ground, didn't, you know, want to stand up and play Izzy's game. And, you know, props to Israel, though, for moving up, because that's a 20-pound jump. That was a huge jump up to light heavy. And, you know, and he tried and didn't get there, but he's going back to middleweight, and he's probably going to keep dominating because Izzy's the man at middleweight, and props to Juan. I think Juan's going to fight Glover Teixeira next, and he should be a heavy favorite in that. So I see Juan probably holding the strap for a little while. So that was your 259 card.
Well, let me. I'm not going to let you off that easy.
Yeah.
Got a couple of questions to throw at you. One, obviously, a blatant foul.
Yeah.
When Jan was leading the fight, controversy even fight night. It was his. Do you blame his corner? Do you blame Jan? Was his corner giving him mixed signals in the cage?
Yeah, and that's a huge controversy because people were arguing that they were screaming and rushing to go ahead and knee him while he was down. Some people said that it was only one guy yelling it. Some people are claiming that there was nobody yelling particularly to knee them on the ground. At the end of the day, too, Future, even though you're in the middle of the fight,
right,
you do have to realize the rules, you know, and you can't knee it down the opponent. But, you know, you're in the heat of battle. Sometimes, you know, you're not thinking straight. But the good news is we should see a rematch, and I think we will get a definite answer. I don't think it's fair that a lot of people are going after Aljo and kind of calling him a paper champ. He can't help what happened. He was probably going to lose via decision, but, you know, stuff happens, and that's the rules, and rules are rules, and we'll get a rematch. They'll work it out.
I was offended by some of the stuff that was put on YouTube the next day. I thought Aljo showed nothing but class. And he won the fight, but somehow became the bad guy in winning the fight. So
yeah.
I thought Aljo showed the class. I can't wait for the fight again. Let's go to just Adesanya, Blvd for just Jan for a second.
Yeah,
Blvd.
Yeah.
I thought Adesanya or Israel, I thought in my mind he won 2 of the first 3 rounds, but the judges didn't see it that way. And by the time it was over with, he had dominated the fight. But especially coming into the 4th round, he really, from the 3rd to 4th round, changed directions and really dominated those 2 rounds by basically taking Israel to the ground and pounding him.
Yeah. Shot some really good double legs and, you know, just implemented his game. You know, we said before that fight that Juan would have the advantage if it went to the ground. He is the jiu-jitsu black belt. He loves the clinch. A lot of his knockouts have come off the clinch, dirty boxing and what have you. So he implemented his game and he won, man. And the guy needs to get more respect. I think he's going to beat Glover in his next fight. I think he's going to run it for a little bit.
Do you want to see Izzy at light heavy again?
No, not right now. And I'm not. This is a never. You know, I'm not saying I never want to see it again, but I think he should just go to middleweight and dominate. Like Anderson Silva was his hero, and they did fight, you know, and Anderson kind of passed the torch to him. I think he should just do what Anderson did and dominate at middleweight for quite a while, because I see him running that division for quite a while. I think as much as I love Whitaker, I think he dominates Whitaker in a rematch. Darren Till's out there, but I think he takes Till. Kevin Holland was a guy that was on the map, but he lost very decidedly against Brunson last week, so he's out of the picture. So I think Israel just hangs out in middleweight unless something spectacular opens up, and I think that's where Dana wants him at.
And I think Jan sealed his fate now as, you know, Cormier walked away from it. John Jones is now a heavyweight. That's his division. And I think
Israel?
No, Jan at light heavyweight.
Oh, yeah, Jan.
Yeah, so I think he was a guy that everybody just felt like, the belt's on him until somebody comes along.
Right, yeah.
It's not that way anymore.
Yeah.
I see him as truly a champion, and especially now he's beat Reyes and he's beat Izzy.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody to contend that he's not a world-class fighter.
Yeah, he's on quite a tear. You know, he's had some big wins. Beautiful knockout of Luke Rockhold when he tried to move up to light heavy. The guy's the champ. He deserves more respect. So I think he's going to run it for a little while.
All right. So that wraps up what was a good pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about some breaking news. First, I don't remember where my questions went, but let's first go to talk about the news that we have in the lightweight division.
Okay.
We thought Poirier was going to get the fight.
Yeah.
We thought there was going to be some anger with who got the fight. We thought Gaethje was going to get the fight, but it's pretty much now we have what's going to be. Would you call it an interim light heavyweight, or now to me it's the
it's the real deal.
It's the real deal heavyweight.
Yeah.
Lightweight championship.
Yeah.
What is the breaking news that kind of leaked this week?
Yeah, so we got Charles Oliveira against Michael Chandler. That's going to be May 15th. That's an awesome birthday present to me because my birthday's on the 14th, so I'm very stoked about that fight. I'm a big Michael Chandler fan. I love Oliveira, too, because he's a great jiu-jitsu guy.
Who we thought was going to get left out of the top picture.
Yeah, we thought he was kind of the odd man out. But
for a long time.
I think this works out for everybody, minus Justin Gaethje is going to be the odd man out. I'll explain that real quick. So Poirier, who obviously should be the number one guy. Poirier's the man, knocked out Conor. Habib officially relinquished the lightweight title, so a lot of people thought Poirier should be next in line. Well, Poirier wants the money fight against Conor, and you can't blame him. That's huge money. That's more money than he would get in a title fight.
And need to settle that.
Yeah. So he's going to go for the trilogy against Conor, and that's what Conor wanted to. That's going to be a big money fight. Everybody will watch that. Oliveira gets his title shot, so he gets what he wants. Michael Chandler, big new name on the scene for UFC. Been in Bellator forever.
2 fights. This will be his second fight.
Yeah, his second fight, title fight. He is a former Bellator champ, so it's not like he's just stepping in and getting it undeserved. But I think he definitely deserves it. That's going to be an exciting fight. The only guy left out is Justin Gaethje, because a lot of people thought Gaethje was going to get a fight against Chandler, and Oliveira would be the odd man out with the Poirier and McGregor fight. So Gaethje's kind of hanging out in the wings. He's kind of confused right now what's going on, but Dana said, be patient. Perhaps Gaethje gets one of the next guys. We'll have to see. I think if Poirier wins the trilogy fight, though, against Conor, he has to get the title shot next against the winner of Chandler and Oliveira. Where you put Gaethje at that point, I'm not sure. And
let's not forget, Gaethje just had a title fight against Khabib.
He did. And he lost.
Within months.
Yeah.
And he lost.
Yeah.
So I see nothing wrong with asking Justin to go win maybe a mid-level fight somewhere along the way to reestablish himself. So you would have Justin's got a shot. Now you're going to have Oliveira and Chandler get a shot. Obviously, the winner of I think if it's Conor, it's an obvious title defense. But you would think the winner of Conor Poirier gets a title defense.
Yeah.
It seems like the UFC got it right to me.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a pretty good move. Maybe you find Gaethje a good fight, like you said, mid-level fight, and we'll work it out. But that's May 15th. That's going to be 262. UFC 261 will be next month. Big news about that is supposedly they're going to do a full crowd in Jacksonville, which is kind of surprising but it's in Florida, so rules are different there. Apparently, I went on the website, they're selling tickets, so they're
very much. I went and looked too.
Yeah,
it's very tempting just to load up and head out.
Yeah, but man, the world changes so quickly every day, so they're planning on a full crowd. We'll see how that goes. That's still 4 weeks away. So,
but AEW in the world of professional wrestling is having a crowd next week.
Yeah,
in a facility in Jacksonville. Yeah, not televised. So I'm going to assume that's going to be a pretty full building. So
that's same building too.
So
Jacksonville.
It's we're getting back, folks, and we don't mean to make light of it. Use your personal decisions. For me, I've made mine. I get my second shot next week.
Nice.
I'm going to be thrilled, feel a little safer.
Yeah.
So I think the UFC's making the right decision. But even then, on the website, I saw, that there's some rules to this.
Yeah.
Wear your mask. They're going to try to do a full crowd, but a correct full crowd.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how it goes. So, and the card on that one's spectacular too. You've got Jorge Masvidal. That's my favorite fighter right now since Habib and GSP retired. You got him rematching Kamaru Usman for the welterweight title. This time, Jorge will have a full camp. It won't be just on 6 days' notice. Will it be any different? We'll see. I don't know. Kamaru's the man, so he needs to be respected more. But I love Jorge. I would love to see him pull it, bring it home and get the welterweight title. You've also got Bullet Shevchenko against Jessica Andrade.
My favorite fight.
Yeah, that's Randall's future wife.
You just tell me what house you want.
So that's for the flyweight title, and then we're showcasing the ladies, and then you got the strawweight title between Thug Rose and Zhang Weili. So that should be really good. I'm looking forward to that. So you got 3 title fights on one card.
Right.
Pretty solid.
And they're trying to find Bullet a quality opponent.
Yeah.
Former strawweight champion, moving up.
Yeah.
I think that might have the ability to. I mean, I still think Bullet's a clear favorite, but that might be a good fight.
Yeah, who knows, man? I'm looking forward to it. I'll watch Bullet fight anybody. She's a blast to watch. So it's a great card.
So we're looking at recording on the date of the 16th, I believe we said.
Possibly, yeah.
Wednesday the 16th. So we'll sure to get it out there on RiverCity Media and also on iTunes, which I still having trouble even putting in my head that 17 million homes have the ability to listen to us now. But let's go real quickly, and we'll get just 2 minutes here, and then we'll get into a breakdown of fights. Do you see any difference in the rematch, Masvidal?
And
Usman. What? I mean, is it the same name? Is it the same thing? Or
it's tough to say. My heart wants Masvidal to win this so bad. He's a Miami guy. I used to live in South Florida. I love him. I love his mentality. He's been around forever. He deserves this.
Full camp.
Yeah, full camp. So we'll see. His wrestling's underrated too. Everybody knows him as a striker because of the flying knee to Askren and the beautiful knockout of Till. But he can wrestle. He's a great jiu-jitsu guy too. But Usman is a different level grappler. I mean, he's taken collegiate All-Americans. He took Woodley and put him on his back for 5 straight rounds. That was a complete shutout.
Yeah.
To use a football or baseball term. He pitched a shutout. Like, he just dominated. That was one of the most dominated title fights I've ever seen that didn't end a knockout or something. That went the full distance, I should say. So my heart wants Masvidal to win, but my brain, if I was in Vegas, I would probably bet on Usman, to be honest with you.
You're listening to Fight Night with Andrew Howard and Randall Cunningham, sponsored by Davis, Kessler, and Davis on Cherokee Boulevard. If you need legal consultation, please call them. They handle all medias, divorce, criminal, anything you need. If I use them, they've got experience. Also, this broadcast is brought to you by Andrew, Randall, and Conway Railway. You can't say we're not live right when the train comes in the middle of the podcast. So moving on to this weekend, I find this card, of course, let's talk real quick. One fight was canceled off of the card.
Yeah.
It kind of forces everybody to move up a little bit.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker because you had Volkanovski against T-City Brian Ortega. That was looking to be a heck of a fight, featherweight title fight. That would have been Volkanovski's second defense. Of course, he just had the 2 fights in a row against Holloway, so everybody wanted to see how he match up against somebody different. Ortega's been on a hot streak, really reinvented his game ever since his loss to Max Holloway. He is a brilliant jiu-jitsu practitioner, student of Henry Gracie, one of my favorite guys. I wanted to see that fight so bad. So that broke my heart when I got on ESPN and I saw it canceled. Like you said, it put a damper on it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to watch this, but that kind of sucked the air out a little bit. You're still going to watch it. It's still going to be great. But, man, that was going to be awesome. But I hope they're going to reschedule this fight and maybe put it on another card later. Perhaps maybe add it to the May card of the Chandler Oliveira fight, and then you could co-main with that, just reschedule. Because probably couldn't do it next month. You already got 3 title fights next month. That one's pretty stacked.
That is.
Yeah, so, that stinks, but it is what it is. That's the world we're living in right now.
So let's get into the card a little bit, and we'll plug a couple other shows we got next week coming up. But let's talk about this. O'Malley versus Almeida.
Mm-hmm.
I think is a fight that Dana intentionally booked. You've got a young fighter coming off a loss who was red hot.
Yes.
And you have an opponent seemingly perfectly set up for him.
Yeah.
And so this now gets bumped up into the main card, one of the fights we're going to carry. So I'm going to start it out. Well, it's a simple question, but I found it very intriguing. Non-traditional MMA versus traditional MMA. And that's what I heard this fight described as. For us laymen, break that down. What does that mean to you a little bit?
Yeah, you got your Sean O'Malley's excellent boxer. He's grappled before in jiu-jitsu tournaments. Almeida fights a little different. I mean, sometimes when I describe fighters like Dominic Cruz, if you ever watch his footwork, it's just really odd, unorthodox would be the term I would use. Or even when Conor, and this is going into boxing, when Conor fought Floyd Mayweather, he was very unorthodox against Mayweather, just different, throwing a different wrinkle at you. And so, that's the best way I can describe it.
And like a lot of times, a traditional boxer or fighter throws a jab, and it's very direct and very angled, and you know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And when you fight somebody like Almeida, that jab might come from outside. It's a tough matchup sometimes.
Yeah,
so,
it's a little different. You don't know how to prepare for them. Even to go to a whole different thing, like somebody playing poker. If you play poker for years, you might know how. But if you play a beginner, you don't know if they're bluffing or what they're doing because they're so different.
It's like Tennessee football.
Maybe they don't know what they're doing.
But break down our fighters for us.
Yeah, sure. So we got Sean O'Malley, the Sugar Show is his nickname. Very
Snoop Dogg's favorite fighter.
Snoop Dogg loves Sean O'Malley, so that put him in the spotlight right there. He's 12-1. 8 of his fights have been won by KO. He was on the Tuesday Night Contender Series. He's had some beautiful, beautiful knockouts. Watch his knockout against Eddie Wineland. It was perfect. It was one of the best shots I've ever seen. I loved it. He's competed in jiu-jitsu tournaments. Quintet's a big jiu-jitsu tournament. He's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, but he did submit Takanori Gomi. For anybody out there that's really old school, Takanori Gomi's a fighter from back in the Pride days. So that's a pretty cool feather in your cap if you beat him in a grappling match. That wasn't a full MMA match, just jiu-jitsu. But this guy's a knockout artist. He was really, really red hot coming in this fight. Had some awesome knockouts. And then he fought Marlon Vera back in August on the Stipe Cormier card. Injured his foot in the very first round. Came down on it really weird and just had no mobility. And the way he fights and the way he uses that foot to plant off and strike, he was kind of a sitting duck. But no disrespect. Marlon Vera was the man too. He dominated, and ended up getting a TKO on him and did his job. So Marlon Vera did what he had to do. So no disrespect to him on that, But I would have liked to seen it if O'Malley didn't hurt his foot, how it would have played out. But that kind of took a little luster off. He was really skyrocketing up in the ranks, getting really popular. Social media blew up. Everybody loved the Sugar Show. He's got the colored hair. He colors it different every fight. So he's a character, but he's fun to watch. So I want to see if he bounces back well against Almeida. Like you said earlier, Almeida, he's 22-4. 17 of his wins have been by KO. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt in Muay Thai. But he's lost 4 fights in a row. He has not won a fight since 2016.
So let's bring that point home a little bit. He's had 9 UFC fights. He goes 4-0 to start with.
Yeah.
And over the last 5, he's 1-5.
Yeah.
So, really, it's a stop-down situation.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's the world of MMA. You're red hot one moment, and then you go on a tear and you're out. And that's the tough, cruel world of it. But like Randall was saying earlier, I do believe Dana booked this on purpose to kind of give Sugar a reasonable opponent.
Yes.
That's not a disrespect to Almeida at all.
Yeah.
But I think he's trying to give somebody to Sugar to get his confidence back up because he's going to be a big sell. If this guy keeps winning, he's definitely, going to be able to co-main and main event cards.
And his ranking is now in the mid-teens.
Yeah.
And, he's probably 4 fights from the ability to contend. It's probably set him back where he was 3 fights.
Yeah.
Now he's 4.
Yeah.
But I do think this is a guy that can sell tickets.
Yeah, people love him, man. And that's the thing. You just said the exact word. He can sell tickets. I've seen guys get title shots that are sometimes rankings don't mean anything. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah, we saw that just recently.
Yeah. You might be ranked 8 or 9 and you get a title shot because you can, sell 3 million pay-per-views.
Tall people in the book.
Yeah, and so he's a popular guy. People enjoy him. I mean, he's fun to watch. You follow his social media. He's an interesting dude, but a heck of a fighter. He's got great knockout power. I do think he's going to bounce back, but we'll see if he loses though tonight. That's really going to set him way back. But I think he's probably going to get the job done.
Well, and one of Almeida's biggest, I guess, reputations coming into this fight is having a weak chin.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think if Sugar's able to catch him,
Yeah.
that's a recipe for disaster there.
I got to put you out real quick. Yeah, YouTube that Eddie Wineland knockout, man. It's brutal. So he's got some power. The Sugar Show. I do love his nickname. He got that from his boxing coach. His boxing coach called him Sugar, and he once asked him, "Why do you call me Sugar?" He said, "Because you're sweet to watch." So it's kind of cool little backstory.
That's a great one.
Gimmicks like that, man, and I'm not comparing MMA to wrestling, but stuff like that sells. Like Sugar Show just flows. People like that.
Well, we're definitely not comparing it to it, but
yeah,
the environment is the same fan base in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and the trash talk, and people are almost characters sometimes.
I love pro wrestling. I've never made a secret of I'm
a
huge pro wrestling fan.
Yeah,
and to watch him in May and see a little of that, and they can say whatever they want to say about Conor McGregor. He is doing the best Ric Flair imitation I've ever seen.
Yeah,
he is being the man.
Yeah.
So
you either buy the pay-per-view to see him knock somebody out, or you buy it to see him get knocked out. You either love him or you hate him. Being apathetic is the worst thing ever for fighters. People could care less what happens. So
before we get off this fight, you good with your breakdown now?
Yes, sir.
I want one scenario, and we all know how O'Malley wins the fight. Give me an example, or give me a path to victory for Almeida.
Leg kicks, controlling the distance, not being in the danger zone, as I call it, where he's going to plant one right on his chin, because like you said, his chin's suspect. We've seen, obviously, he's coming off a foot injury. Sugar is that maybe he's a little vulnerable there, so if he can land some leg kicks. I mean, we just saw it in the Conor Poirier fight.
Leg kicks changed the fight.
Yeah. Nobody talks about leg kicks. Well, we talk about leg kicks, but a lot of casual fans don't think about that. But that changes everything in the fight. It's just like in football. Not many people, other than dedicated fans, talk about how important like the offensive line is. Right. Everybody thinks about the playmakers and the 80-yard touchdown.
Fantasy football.
Yeah, but it's the trenches, it's the dirty work, it's the leg kicks and stuff that can really influence a fight.
Yeah, and we've seen it. Going back, I'm a big Baz Rutten fan. His leg kicks were deadly back 15 years ago.
Yeah, I love Boss.
All right, man. So we'll come back and predict this fight here in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think we've made a lot of mystery about this fight, but, it is, I think, a fight to get Sugar Shane back on rail. So we'll come back and predict it. Next fight. Why don't you go ahead and break down our contestants?
Okay.
And I think this is a fight we see differently. So let's break this one down and spend a little more time on this.
Yeah, so we got a welterweight fight. Tyron Woodley, 19-6-1 against Vicente Luque, who's 19-7-1. Woodley is a former champ. He won the welterweight title back in 2016. Brilliant knockout of Robbie Lawler. I was actually at that fight. It was in Atlanta, so that was awesome. But,
Robbie Lawler, tough.
Oh, you gotta love Robbie.
You knock Robbie Lawler out, you've done something.
Yeah, he's amazing, old school dude. Tyron was, he did well. So he knocked out Lawler. He had 2 fights with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Had a draw in the first one, then won the second one. Then he beat Damian Marion, kind of what people would call a snoozer. And then he won against Darren Till via a choke in the first round that kind of solidified him a little more. And then he goes off and loses 3 straight fights. Like I mentioned earlier, he lost really bad against Usman. That was like a complete shutout. Really bad. Got dominated. And he is a former collegiate wrestler at University of Missouri. He got put on his back pretty much that whole fight. Yep. So he didn't win a single round. So tries to get back in title contention. Last summer fights Gilbert Burns. Gilbert almost replicates what Usman did. Pitched a shutout against him as well. Won all 5 rounds. Put him on his back. Dominated on the feet.
Both Stanford Academy fighters.
Yeah. MMA, yeah.
So,
teammates, you're right. Yeah.
So that's and his opponent this week is a Stanford Academy daughter. So
that's a great point.
Let's talk about that later.
They got a little blueprint for him. Yeah. So then last September he fights Colby Covington. They had a big war of words, for years, and they finally got the fight. And Colby dominates that for 4 rounds. Then the 5th round slams him down. Kind of an odd ending to the fight. Tyron's looking like he's trying to get a guillotine from the opposite side, which that's really hard to get. And Colby rolls up on his ribs, and he pops one of his ribs. You hear Tyron verbally submit, just screaming in pain. Colby was dominating that fight. So Tyron is coming off 15 straight rounds lost. I mean, it's one thing to lose 3 straight fights, but when you lose 3 straight and you've lost every single round, that's a heck of a slump he's in right now. And this guy's a former champ. At one point, he was trying to argue that he would be better than George St. Pierre. That's that's laughable at this point.
38 years old now.
Yeah.
Was the face of Strikeforce at one point.
Yeah.
Former UFC champion. Now, here's my question before we go any further. You just said he lost 3 fights. Is Usman, Burns, and Covington not 1, 2, 3 in that division, though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he went against studs, and you were very correct in saying that. It's not like they just handed him a gatekeeper or a top 15 or top 10. You're talking about the 3 studs, in the division minus Masvidal that he went up against. So he went through the killers of killers. But, man, he didn't win a single round. That's tough.
It is tough. That is.
And it'll be interesting to see if he bounces back tomorrow. Him and Dana are not exactly the best of friends. They're not going to send each other Christmas cards. Dana's never been a big fan. I think secretly Dana was probably really happy when Usman put it on him that night and took the strap off of him.
Right.
So that leads me to say that possibly this could even be a win or go home kind of fight.
Well, I think it is.
Because then you're looking at 4 straight. They've already cut Junior Dos Santos and All-Star Overeem, 2 beloved veterans. People love those guys. Woodley's a little polarizing. People either love him or they hate him. He said some comments in the past that he's accused a few people of racism. I'm not going to go into that at all. It is what it is. But people either love him or they hate him. He's not as beloved as, I would say, Junior Dos Santos or Overeem. So
by no means.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very polarizing figure. Is the right word.
Yeah.
Now, before we go too far into breaking his opponent down, let's talk about one more thing. And when I was breaking this down, Andrew, I really felt like he's 38, but an old 38. Mm-hmm. He fought wars in Strikeforce.
Yeah.
He fought wars when he came to UFC. He physically looks older in his age. I think you are right. I don't think Dana threw him a softball. He brought a fighter from the same camp. And this might ultimately be win or go on.
Yeah.
And you're a plus 200 underdog. If this is every reason to stand up and fight them.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of weird. If you watched the Gilbert Burns fight, even though Usman, he looked a little gun shy.
It did not look like the same fighter.
He is built like a truck. If he kicked that door in right now and wanted to swing, both you and I would be dead in a heartbeat. So that guy has power. He has absurd knockout power. His knockout of Josh Koscheck was beautiful. His knockout of Robbie Lawler was beautiful. He's got power. He's built like a Greek god. He looked very timid in those fights, and then Covington pressured him and just put it on him too.
It was a beautiful ending to that fight.
Yeah, it was kind of sad. And like you said, you were talking about his age and the miles and the things he's been through. Think about this. He's been through, the Covington was a TKO in the 5th round, but it's almost a 5-round fight. Let's just call it a 5-round fight. He was in a 5-round fight against Burns. He was in a 5-round fight against Usman, being dominated the whole time. He was in a 5-round fight against Damian Maia. He was in 2 5-round fights against Thompson. This guy's not got, like, we were about to get into Ngannou. Ngannou's had a total of 4 minutes ring time for the past couple of years. He's had miles.
Yes.
So that wears on you, man. A 5-round war, tough.
And multiple. And again, we'll go back. Strikeforce was almost built around him at one point. When he signed with UFC from Strikeforce, it was really a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So now his opponent, I do not know a lot about. So we enter this fight. Give us a quick breakdown and some stats on his opponent.
Sure. I've seen Luque fight a few times. So he had the fight of the night against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on the Nate Diaz Hospital. Yeah, another great vet. But he is 19-7-1, 11 fights by KO. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I forgot to mention Tyron is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He is a Muay Thai style fighter. He's got some great leg kicks, which he really dominated in the Randy Brown fight. Kind of, taking his base out. We were just talking about leg kicks. So he's a really good Muay Thai fighter. I think his kicks versus Woodley's punches might be one of the deciding factors in this. Anyway, he has won 4 out of his past 5 fights. He knocked out Nico Price. He knocked out Randy Brown. He lost to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but that was fight of the night. That was November 2019 in the Nate Diaz Masvidal fight. He beat Mike Perry by decision. So he's been on quite a tear. So 4 out of 5, man, that's pretty solid.
World-class fighter.
Yeah.
Not a guy that's
not a household name in the division yet, I would say.
Lower top 10 fighter, fair,
Yeah, I believe he was. I checked the rankings the other day. I couldn't remember.
I almost feel like he's a gatekeeper.
Yeah, that's a fair term. So nothing wrong with that. If he keeps winning, maybe he can move up. But as of right now, gatekeeper, I think that's pretty solid.
Now we'll predict this in a little bit, but I think going in, we all know that he's a clear favorite. So let's just wrap this up, and we'll get on to the next fight and predict in a minute. Last question to you about this fight. If you were in Woodley's corner right now, and it's 24 hours till you fight, I sent my friend Lenny. What's up, Lenny? Great MMA guy, loves MMA. I asked him. I said, "Give me something today to bring to the show about Woodley or what you think of the fight." And he goes, "He's washed up."
Oh yeah.
So I mean, and this is a guy that follows the sport closely.
Yeah.
Give us, is he washed up, or is there fire still there?
I hate that term "washed up," man. It's so negative, and I try to keep things positive on the show. Your friends welcome his opinion, obviously.
I hate the word too, but
yeah, he's very late in his career. He is on a monumental slump, to say the least. 15 rounds.
Maybe that's a better way to say it.
Maybe I'm being political here with my terms.
The monumental slump.
Monumental slump. He's been very timid.
My diet's on the monumental slump.
I love it, dude. That's awesome. He's been very timid. If I'm his coach, and I'm not an MMA coach at all, I'm just saying this is armchair quarterbacking here. No risk it, no biscuit, man. Just swing for it, man. Go for it. Because if you're timid and you even if he wins and it's a boring fight, there's a possibility that Dana might even be done with him. Because he's not on Dana's happy list. So I'd just say go for it, man. Go back to the old days, like when he knocked out Robbie Lawler, when he knocked out Koscheck.
Right.
And he's got crazy power in those hands. Let it fly. If you get a spectacular knockout, that's a payday, and easier said than done. Obviously, you can't just walk in and expect knock somebody out easy. But that's what I would say. Just let it fly, man. It'd be like in college basketball. I keep using these analogies, but Bruce Pearl used to tell them, just shoot, man. Don't be afraid of missing. Just shoot. If you go for the knockout and you get knocked out, whatever, man. But it's better than going out and losing another 5-round decision on your back.
So, yeah, the word washed up is horrible. I certainly used it. But,
no, you're fine, dude. Your friends welcome his opinion, obviously.
But I do I think we're going to have a difference of opinion on this fight. I mean, I feel like the Grizzly vet, this is kind of like, this is Rocky round 13,
Yeah.
And it is that for him.
It's do or die. And you were talking about that. There's been a lot of veterans that are picking Woodley in this fight, despite his really bad slump. George St. Pierre does his picks. He does one of those fantasy betting things. I don't know. There's so many of them now. And he picked Woodley to win. So who knows, man? And some people that have trained with him have picked him. So we'll see how it goes.
All right.
It's a big fight.
We'll get to the predictions here in a minute. We're running late on time. We've got about 15 minutes here to break down the main event. And the easiest way to say this, it is King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, dude. Great reference, man. You're firing on your references tonight. I like it. Yeah, man. We got Stipe Myochick, 20-3, absolute beast. Love this dude. I call him the Rodney Dangerfield of MMA because he don't get no respect.
Right.
I mean, he probably gets some respect, but he needs more. He's not a character. He doesn't have a gimmick like we were talking earlier. He is a firefighter for Cleveland. You know, he lives in Cleveland, Ohio. He's a proud Cleveland guy. True story, he won the heavyweight title against Fabricio Verdum, and 2 days later, he was in the fire hall cleaning toilets. Nice. You got to love that dude. I'm a son of a retired firefighter, so honestly, Stipe's big in my heart. Love
Shout out to Melvin out there. Papa Howard.
Yeah. So Stipe's the man. He's got the most wins defending heavyweight titles. So right now, he is the heavyweight GOAT, in my opinion. Even just looking at the stats, he's defended the title. He just went through one heck of a trilogy with Daniel Cormier. Cormier won the first one in spectacular fashion, knockout. Stipe, the next fight, weathers the storm, starts landing those kidney shots, and knocks out Cormier.
Okay, and then that second fight, I really thought Stipe was about to get knocked out.
Right, yeah, because he was getting dominated the first round. Got taken down.
I thought this was over.
Yeah, Daniel had him on top and half guard, and he was landing some blows, and quite a comeback, man. He changed his boxing game up. He is a Golden Gloves boxing champ, by the way. I love his boxing. For a big guy, he's very graceful, looks awesome. Stipe's the man. He just had a 5-round war with Cormier. I had that fight 3 rounds to 2. Stipe, it was quite a war. It was 2-2 going into the 5th round by a lot of people's scorecards. Stipe's awesome. Can't say enough good things about that dude. And he's going against the monster, Francis Ngannou, who is every bit of 265. Chiseled 265. Not eating wings and drinking beer at Hooters 265. I'm not putting you on the spot there.
That's a good reference, Andrew. I'm 305 though.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Stipe is 20-3. 15 of his fights he has won by KO, 5 by decision. So he has gone the distance several times. Ngannou has won 11 fights by knockout, 4 by submission. Stipe wrestled in college, so he's got those grappling skills, which obviously played into the last fight very much. He's on quite a tear. He's won 6 out of his past 7 fights, with the 1 loss being Cormier, of course, in the first fight. So Stipe's on a tear. But you want to talk about a tear? Ngannou, 4 straight fights. None of them have gotten out of the first round, and total octagon time less than 4 minutes. That's absurd. I mean, it's crazy.
That's 4 minutes in 2018, 3 years.
Yeah.
33 months, I think is what I figured it out to be.
Yeah, like do the math on the paycheck, how much he's made for 4 minutes of octagon time. I mean, he's scary, how his knockout power. I keep telling you guys to pull up YouTube clips. Watch the uppercut knockout of All-Star Overeem. Dear God, I thought his head was going to come off. I mean, it looked like something off Mortal Kombat.
Absolutely, it was.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to my boy Anderson Miranda watching this tonight.
Nice.
Made the point I'm on the Brazilian side over here. My Brazilian brother.
Yeah.
He's one of the ones that brought me to the sport too, along with you.
Yeah. Shout out to Cheesecake too. Cheesecake's our MVP viewer. He's been at every one.
Hey, when we get shirts made, Cheesecake, yours is free.
Yeah, MVP to Cheesecake.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So.
And Mama Howard watching.
Yeah, she watches sometimes.
So, this guy's a beast.
Yeah, absolute monster, dude. I love the Godzilla King Kong reference. But these guys have fought before. This was 3 years ago, 2018. At that point, Ngannou was very fresh, very raw coming in. I mean, had hardly any grappling experience. He came in swinging for the fences like he always does. Landed a few good shots. Stipe managed to keep his distance, weathered the storm, and then goes on to dominate that fight. Grappling, just kept him on the ground, worked his distance. I think Ngannou's much better this go around. I think Stipe's better. I think he continues to improve.
That was a question I was going to have. Is this, we talked about trajectory of fights a lot of times. To me, these are 2 fighters both still getting better.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Getting better. Yeah. So, will it play out like last time? I don't know. We'll see. Stipe's obviously got a huge edge on grappling. He is the man at wrestling. Right. He's going to win that war. But as far as pure power, that's not even close. Ngannou's got a nuclear bomb. Stipe's going to, pick his shots, and Stipe can knock him out too. But I think Stipe would knock him out with combinations. Ngannou, God, he'll knock you into the next state.
Is he the hardest puncher in the UFC history?
Yes, I don't even think it's close. I mean, it's scary how hard he hits.
That is it.
Like, you got to watch the All-Star Overeem knockout. The Rosenstruck knockout was pretty awesome too. But even when you're watching, he's flailing, but then he lands one and just boom, knocks him up against the cage, and he comes with that second one. There's a slow motion video of that knockout, and they're playing The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. I don't know who put it on YouTube, but it's hilarious because it's like time perfect. Right when the drum hits, he's boom and just catches him. He's scary. He can end this fight in 2 seconds.
And I agree with you. I agree with everything you just said. Anything else to add to that, or you ready to face the questions?
Yeah, I can face the questions. I guess we're kind of getting a little short on time, so
well,
I could get really long-winded on both these guys. So,
no, I mean you've covered a lot of the questions already, but let's. You're kind of at a point where I want to lead us to. Does Francis Ngannou come out in the first round and he has 5 minutes to win the fight, or he's going to lose?
That's a pretty fair assessment. I think the longer this fight goes, it is definitely in Stipe's favor. Like it's huge. Like you were talking about trajectory. If you're talking win percentage, if it goes to a 5-round war, Stipe's been there, man. He went against Cormier, and they had one heck of a 5-round war against. Cormier's one of the best ever, top 5 in my opinion. And he went to war with a grappler and a great boxer in Stipe, and he's been in these 5-round wars. That's kind of uncharted waters for Ngannou. He wants to get in there. Let's go home. Let's cash his paycheck and knock this guy out. So you got a good point. The longer this thing goes, the more it favors Stipe.
All right, and then you just led me into the next question. I feel like JDS and Kane, when they fought Ngannou, tried to bully the bully. That is not a winning path in this fight.
Yeah.
If Stipe comes out and tries to get in Ngannou's face, win that first round, I feel like he's playing exactly into what he wants to do. How would you tell Stipe, if you were in his corner, to survive this fight? Is it just stay out of his way?
Yeah, weather the storm, man. Utilize your grappling. Do exactly what you did last time. I mean, he was swinging for the fences. Stipe kept his distance. I'm not saying he ran, but he covered the octagon pretty good. He moved around, got in there, got a few shots, got out. You don't want to stand and just trade with Ngannou.
There's a moment in that fight where Stipe double-legged him. Mm-hmm. And I think that moment was the end of the fight for Ngannou. Yeah. Because when he could, and this is we'll get into our predictions later, when he got on top of Ngannou and made him carry his weight, yes, and his weight, and he's already threw bombs for a round. Yeah. It really was the beginning of the end of that fight. Yeah. And Stipe is obviously an accomplished wrestler. Wrestlers love to be on top and put constant pressure on you. And at that point, he was very green in his grappling. I think he has improved. Obviously, Stipe is levels above him in that aspect. But if Stipe dirties this up, gets it on the ground, cage control, pushing him up against the fence, getting some dirty boxing in there, that definitely favors Stipe a lot for sure. And Ngannou's so big. I mean, he's very athletic, don't get me wrong, but I would give the cardio advantage to Stipe big time. Right. I would think so. I'm not saying Ngannou can't last 5 rounds. He went 5 rounds with him, and didn't get knocked out and finished in the last fight, but it way favors Stipe. But we saw the same thing in the Blades fight. It's kind of like he took Stipe's book and tried to used it on Ngannou. Mm-hmm. So is Stipe's best tool? Now we've already said Ngannou's best path to victory is punching power. Yeah, that Thor hammer is Stipe's best way to win this fight through his fight intelligence. Yeah, play it smart. Yeah, that's a good term. So let's talk about that. What does going into this fight? Stipe knows he's got some advantages. So what are those advantages? We're through the first round. We're into the second round. We're in the corner, and we're in his ear. And we say, now's the time to implement your game. Pressure. You've been here before. Implement your experience. Okay. He's got, he's definitely got him beat on the experience factor and being in these wars.
implement your top pressure, your grappling. Obviously, it's easier said than done just trying to shoot a double leg. We saw that, last month when Curtis tried to do his wrestling, and Derek Lewis, took him out.
Knocked him out.
Yeah, knocked him out of the sky. But, Stipe's been there. So utilize, your grappling and your distance and your cardio, and don't play his game. Don't try to go to war with this guy. I think Rosenstruck had the idea that he was going to go in and trade blows with him.
Can't bully the bully.
That lasted all of 19 seconds.
Yeah, so, I mean that's been proven. You cannot bully this man.
Yeah.
And two, you have to. Let me ask you this: do you have to wait a little bit to take him to the ground? Because if you open up one dirty double leg, if you keep your head too low for too long, you're out of the fight.
Yeah.
So it really is dangerous trying to take him to the mat early in this fight. You got to keep your distance. And could we see leg kicks?
Yeah, there you go, man. Leg kicks, that could be huge. That could be really big. That could definitely be a big factor because you slow the big guy down, and then that wears on him. We keep talking about this. This could be a grind that Stipe maybe wants to grind this thing out, and Ngannou's looking to, go home in 2 minutes. And I believe Ngannou is the favorite. I don't know. Or is Stipe the favorite?
No, Stipe was a slight favorite, I believe. We can pull that up while before we get to the prediction segment. One last question. We got to get to the prediction segment. By the way, let us take a minute and plug iLogic Media Network, where you can find us by tomorrow. This will be uploaded, and while you're on your treadmill tomorrow, if you want to listen to us on iTunes or Spotify, or be welcome to. And of course, I want to plug the other shows I do on this network. On yet to be named, Andrew.
Okay.
Tuesday night with my boys Raj and Robbie, and we've been doing a lot of college basketball, and I think that's going to continue. And we're looking at the 3 R's, man. You're right. And of course, this week we had superstar Ray on.
Yeah, that was cool.
Ray will be back in 2 weeks. Next Tuesday at 6:30, a friend of mine, Mike Leach, a world-class barbecuer, will be here. We're going to do a segment called Rubbing Butts, man.
That's awesome, dude.
So get your barbecue on next Tuesday.
Yeah. Dude, I'll watch that, man. I love barbecue.
And then at 8 o'clock that night, we'll get you through the Final Four and let you win some money. So
nice.
We've set that. And, of course, on Thursday night at 10 o'clock, my boy Philip Chaplin in the other angle. We're still in his logo tonight, by the way, the OA. The other angle with Chappie and I. So, Andrew, we've made it through kind of a breakdown.
Yeah.
You ready to go to predictions?
Yeah. Let's send it home.
Let's send it home. We got, you know what, folks? We wrote out a format, and we're actually on time.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
We've never done this before. We'll have to try to do. We'll have to try to do that again.
Yeah, this whole format thing works.
What in the right there it says 58 minutes. Go to predictions.
Nice.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's send it home, dude.
All right. So first, we're going to predict the 3 fights we covered tonight.
Yeah. So we got Sean O'Malley against Almeida. I'm going to go Sean O'Malley. I think he knocks him out. I think he knocks him out in the first round. I think he's been very angry since August, and he wants to get back on the tear. I think he gets back after it and takes the lesser fighter out.
I agree with you. I went to the second round, but I think this fight was built for O'Malley, and
get him back on track.
Yeah, I really think this is his fight to win.
Sure. Then we've got Tyron Woodley against Vicente Luque. I'm gonna go Luque. I think he wins. I was gonna go decision, but I think he knocks out Woodley in the second round. I think he takes him out.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going out on a limb here, and I've said it all day. And I think it's Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl in Tampa. Jordan hits the shot with the flu to win his 6th championship. I think if you take a champion and you put him with the back against the wall, that he will fight you to no end. And I do think that Tyron Woodley has fought wars. I think that he'll probably get one more shot if he wins this fight impressively. I don't see that he'll win another fight. Mm-hmm. But somehow tomorrow night, I think Woodley wins a war. And again, at plus 200, and he's another plus 200 to knock him out. I'm sprinkling a little money on that late round knockout.
Yeah.
And I really, really like his chances. And I'm coming from the heart, I know.
Yeah.
But I love those veterans.
Yeah, man.
I think he's got one more chance. Now, Ngannou is the favorite in that fight, a slight favorite, -130.
Yeah, see, Stipe's Rodney Dangerfield, man. This guy wins, and he's always the underdog. It's crazy.
So, what do you got, Andrew? And
I think Stipe is going to really solidify his legacy. His legacy is already solidified. Let me backtrack on that. But for anybody that would doubt him, I think he's going to get his second win over Ngannou. I believe in him. I think he's going to get it third round stoppage. I think he utilizes his grappling, gets on top, and puts the pressure and mounts and finishes the fight that way. So I think he weathers the storm in the first round, wears Ngannou out, and I think we get a third round stoppage, and Stipe utilizes it.
So the odds shoot up strongly. The first round, this fight going under 1.5 is a -139. So you got to think if King Kong wins, it's going to be a first round knockout.
Yeah.
I told myself a story, and I like to paint a story on these things, that Stipe survives the first round and he doesn't knock him out. And I tried to explain this in text. This is a stoppage where Ngannou just throws everything he has at him.
Empties the gas tank.
Empty the gas tank, and Stipe just takes him to the ground and just mauls him in the second round. And I went with a second round stoppage. I didn't know whether to call it a technical knockout. I just see that he's going to be spent, and I like if you want to throw a little money on that bet that you said at plus 188, the odds go from plus 125 to 188 to get in that third round. That's not a bad, it's not a bad little odds there.
Yeah.
So
a huge note too that I forgot to say about this fight, and before we get cut off here, John Jones is going to get the winner of this. Okay. That is huge because that is the super fight of this year. Because anytime Conor fights, a lot of times people say that's the biggest fight this year. Well, with Conor losing it, and he's still a superstar, don't get me wrong, but it hit his legacy a little bit.
Yeah.
With John Jones moving up, the intrigue that's going to go into this. If you follow John on Instagram, he is bulked up big time to see if John can do what Israel can do. He was looking like he was 250 last. I believe he mentioned he was 250. He's humongous. I follow him on Instagram all the time. All he's doing is deadlifts and just muscle right now. It's crazy. He's humongous right now.
So if Ngannou wins, do we get Stipe and Ngannou before we get John Jones? Or does Stipe have to beat Ngannou to go straight to John Jones?
The winner gets John. I think no matter how it plays out, winner gets John, because that is so much money and so many pay-per-views that Dana White's salivating over that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll pay so much money to watch Jones against Stipe or Ngannou. I don't care who it is. That's going to be massive.
Is that our Labor Day traditional fight, you think?
It could be Labor Day, or they could even make it Christmas. Christmas is always a big card. Or if it ends really early, if Ngannou gets a knockout like a minute into it, maybe July 4th, because that card's always massive. So that could be huge.
July 4th, Labor Day, and Christmas usually
pretty big cards.
And you got to think Conor and Poirier is going to be on that, one of those.
Yeah, good point. Conor and Poirier might be July 4th because they had to push that a little bit for medical suspensions for Conor.
And then you think that Chandler Oliveira is going to be a big fight.
Yeah, that's the 15th of May.
Yeah, so then you might have that second round of lightweights in one of those. So this, big guys sell tickets.
Yeah, it's going to be fun this year, man. Looking forward to the cards.
So, Andrew, anything else to finish up this?
Order the fight, man. It's going to be awesome.
All right, everyone. And we're on a hard stop tonight. Some people got a job, got to do their thing. So for Andrew and I, for the iLogic Media Network, for all of us at RiverCity Media, we appreciate it, and thank you and joining us on the 16th for a special edition Wednesday night. Good night.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. I got to get a remote way to do this to end it.